Welcome to a presentation of a scarce engraving from our inventory of historical military prints. What you are looking at is the Waterloo Banquet, the annual banquet organised by the Duke of Wellington on the anniversary of the victory of the Battle of Waterloo, a tradition that still continues today. The challenge for the artist was how to paint 83 people sitting down to dinner when half of them have their backs to you. The solution: you wait until the toast. The Duke of Wellington has just put down its glass, having given the toast to Your Majesties and to Waterloo. In fact, there are two kings in this engraving, King William IV of England and King Willem I of the Netherlands. The interesting backstory is that the artist Salter was on his horse in Hyde Park on June the 18th, 1836, when he happened to hear and then see the presumably 20th banquet in progress at the Duke of Wellington's residence at Hyde Park Corner, Apsley House, No. 1, London. He was so intrigued by the spectacle that he approached his patron with a proposal for a painting to capture the national historic scene. His patron and pupil, Lady Bergerish, consented to approach the Duke with the proposal. The Duke, who could oft be curt, was immediately against the idea, as he considered Salter's immaturity would not be up to the complexity of the painting that Salter was proposing, as he was virtually unknown as an artist in England at the time. So, on your horse. Salter worked up his initial sketch to a greater detail of his concept, which he had discussed with his patron. Lady Bergerish was the Duke's niece and confidant, and she and the Duke were close and kept up correspondence for many years. Some said she had her uncle wrapped around her little finger. The Duke was persuaded through her good offices and having had a few glass support, and he decided to take a flyer on Salter, giving him access to the 90-foot-long room and ornaments so that he could capture their likenesses. In the picture, the table has already been cleared of cutlery and condiments as the guests settled for the remainder of the evening following Wellington's toast. The candelabra and magnificent silver gilt by a Sala da Victoria, the Victory table service, which is over a metre, that's 3 feet, wide, and over 8 metres, 26 feet, long. The gift of the government of Portugal in 1816 is quite visible, along with part of Wellington's important art collection, much of it the gift of countries he had liberated from the scourge of Napoleon. The most noticeable example is the portrait of Charles I on horseback after Van Dyck, but also identifiable is Velasquez's The Water Cellar. The Duke also gave him introduction to the invitees. Salter proved himself worthy of the task, however, and painted scores of military figures as preparation for what turned out to be his grand oeuvre, the Waterloo Banquet painting, which measures just over 32 by 54 inches. Salter worked on the painting for 5 years at its London studio. Each of the people in the painting was reported as a good likeness, and 80 of the resulting studies are now in the National Portrait Gallery in London. The moment he chose was following the toast. Etiquette permitted dinner guests then to move their chairs to form conversational groups, and thus was able to show them all full face or in profile. In the intervening 10 years it took Salter to paint the 81 guests, plus 6 others portrayed, who were in attendance around the table in 1836, and William Greatbach to engrave their likenesses, during which time some 23 had died by the date of publication of this engraving by Francis Moon on the 18th of June 1846, including William IV of England, who died in 1837 before the painting was finished. It was proposed to purchase the painting from the artist by public subscription. However, this failed, as Dammit the Duke himself up and died in September 1852. The painting remained unsold and passed down through Salter's heirs. It now, however, hangs in the Portico drawing room and belongs to the private collection of the Duke of Wellington. With the Duke's death, The tradition of holding a banquet on the anniversary of the day of the battle lapsed, but was revived again in 2015 by the 9th Duke. As can be seen in the engraving, the Waterloo Banquet of 1836 was very much a military affair. It was an exclusively male event. Wives and other female companions did not attend the dinner. They and other non-military guests can be seen entering the Waterloo Gallery from the adjoining yellow drawing room to listen to the speeches. Interestingly, the foreground is filled with the casual clutter of military hats, swords and accoutrements on the floor and side table, common for such an event when No. 1 full battle dress was required, lest they had to leave promptly for the field of battle. Not surprisingly, as the heroes of Waterloo were immortalised in paint and engraving, would you, as the artist, put yourself in the picture? Well, he did. The artist William Salter decided to immortalise himself amongst them. He stands with Wellington's relatives in the doorway to the banqueting hall known as the Waterloo Gallery, along with his patroness. This scarce and exceptionally fine image, of which this is currently the only copy for sale in Canada, would look most befitting in the dining room or study wall of a titled or military gentleman, or in any private or institutional military print collection. It is set in its original period mahogany wood frame and gilt liner, and is sold together with its original period lithograph numbered key naming the participants with their principal decorations. It can be added to your own collection for just under $3,500. Further details may be found on our website or contact us.